Fitz, what's up, Fitz? He says, good day, gents. Marco, can you please drop the link to your charity? Unfortunately, Marco's not here. If somebody else has the link and they want to drop it, feel free. The need of those
I have it somewhere. I'll drop it in there.
Cool. Thank you. Or none. The need of these wonderful kids are ongoing, and I hope a few generous people will contribute a little because it will mean a lot to these great kids. Yeah, especially around starting to be the holiday season. So my question this week is, when you get an RYS expansion delivered, do you want a press release stack to that new site and not the first one that came with the original RYS shield? Thank you. Okay, well, I think you might be confusing or conflating two different terms, Fitz. And the only reason I say that is because let's go to the store real quick and I'll show you what I mean. Stand by. Okay, so if you do the RYS expansion, then what this is doing is it's adding to an existing G site and an existing folder, right? Drive folder that was set up for your original, entity or brand for that project. So a Google Drive expansion stack and Google Site Setup is essentially it's building onto an existing stack and an existing G site. It's not an additional G site or an additional stack, right? If you wanted that, then you would, let me back up for a minute. That wouldn't be an expansion. That would be a location shield. So if you go down to the SEO shield down here and you look at learn more, look at the different options there, you'll see that there are 3 different shield types: the SEO starter shield, the SEO location shield, and the SEO power shield. The location shield would be if you wanted to add separate G sites for, say, additional locations. Let's say it's a multi-location business. Say it's a coffee shop and they've got 3 different locations. Then you would want, if you wanted to have like a different G site, a different ID page, and a different, essentially drive stack for each location, then that's what you would do with the location shield. But for an RYS expansion, it's going to build inside of an existing drive stack and an existing G site. Personally, that's how I prefer to do it all. I do everything using the RYS expansion stack instead of the location shields, because again, I will end up getting, and what I do is I just either order another ID page or clone an existing ID page and then just swap out the details and then upload it to S3. And I've got a unique ID page for each additional location. Even for multi-location businesses, I use the Google expansion stack because what I do is I set up the SEO power shield for the brand initially, and then I go and order an RYS expansion stack for each location that's underneath that brand, right? And so essentially I'll have a new page on the G site as well as a new folder inside the original drive stack folder that will be optimized for that specific location, right? So you can put the NAP details in there, but it's all under the same G site. My point is this, guys, if you start with even a location shield, right, which creates a new drive stack, a new G site, then you have to start powering all those up from scratch. Whereas if you start with if you have an existing SEO power shield that you have built for a particular project, an entity, it's branded. Now, if you're likely already powering that up with additional links and everything else that you're doing to it, press releases, all that other stuff. So if you build into that, right? So like a subfolder inside the main drive stack folder and a page on the G site, then it's going to benefit instantly from the authority that you've been building to the original stack anyways and G site, right? Does that make sense? So I prefer to use expansion stacks for everything. And that's just my preference because again, you benefit from the instant authority that it will receive from the work that you've previously been doing to the original main entity stack. Okay. Do you run press releases stacked to that new and not the first one that came? No. And again, so that's my whole point is I'm always building the original stack and G site up, right? Constantly powering that up. And so every time I add a new expansion to it, right? And guys, remember, you can do the way that we teach this, and again, go to the SEO shield.com and you can get training on all of this for free. Okay. But the idea with the SEO Power Shield is to set it up for whatever your primary keyword is. And some businesses say, well, I've got, 3 main services. Well, pick one and make that your primary keyword. And what we do with the SEO Power Shield is we optimize it or set it up for one keyword plus brand, right? And if it's local, it could be keyword plus location plus brand, right? And so we optimize that, and that becomes the primary branded stack. That's what we start with. But then let's say that you've got, you know, for me, let's say for tree services stuff, it's going to be set up for tree service plus city, then whatever the brand name is for that particular project. Then what I'll do is, let's say I've got two topical categories or silos on the site. Let's say one is for tree removal and one is for tree trimming. Well, then I'm going to order an RYS expansion stack for one, optimized for one for tree trimming and one for tree removal, right? So essentially I'm going to have RYS expansions built out for each one of my primary service categories on the site. Then I'm going to go out, if I've got multiple locations, let's say I've got 3 locations for that project. Then I'm going to also order an RYS expansion for each individual location. Does that make sense? So then, you know, let's say, you know, Culpeper, Warrenton, Fredericksburg. I would have a separate RYS expansion for each one of those 3 cities that would have the NAP of each location. So then now I've got my original branded SEO Power Shield, original, you know, in the G site and everything. Then I'm going to have a page for each of the topical categories, service categories, essentially, right? One for tree trimming, one for tree removal. Then I'm going to have a separate page or RYS expansion for each one of the locations. And if there was 3 locations, there'd be 3 of those as well. And now you just power the shit up. You power that by just hammering the shit out of it. And every single one of those, right? Each one of those drive stack folders, the files contained within each folder, the G site page, all of that mirrored on your money site. If you have that, that's the whole point, right? So you benefit from anything that you add to the original stack in the drive G site by just making it like an internal page and a subfolder within the main drive stack folder. All right, hopefully that cleared some things up.